cooler than 100x, and welcome to another episode of Shadowtalk. The topic we're going to be talking about today is the Earth flat or round. Now, I always wanted to do this topic, man, because I always thought, I always wanted to get into it. It's going to be a little bit extensive, but think about it. If the Earth was flat or round. Now, the reason why I say it's round is because everything works within an orbit within the seasons. Now, we always have a low and high season because it rotates. You have to think about the world axis. Now, you got the sunlight on one side, you got darkness on the other. It creates cold because you're in space. So nothing without sunlight creates low temperatures, I would say. Like the higher you get up in space, the colder you get and the less air you breathe. So as you see, when it get cold outside, you can't breathe as much. You start to get more temperate because your lungs are not used to that type of format of oxygen. So that's what I believe as far as, the Earth being round. Now the Earth being flat, I just don't believe that, because if the Earth was flat, okay, a lot of people always test this theory with the Earth is flat that makes sense of everything being towards gravity. Now, as you look at gravity, now you have to really think about gravity. Think about it. Now, if you have a ball and you drop it, it goes down, right? But that doesn't consist as a flat surface. You have to think about, a lot of people do not test gravity in different directions because it's impossible. Now, let's say if you was 35,000 feet in the air, it still goes down to a main point. Now, if you do it diagonally, where did the ball go? The same point. Like if you sitting in the air in a diagonal angle, like an obtuse angle, and you still drop a ball in that direction, it's still going the same damn direction because gravity doesn't have any consistency to turn direction. Now, if you could turn gravity, that's some crazy stuff to do, because that would be some unbelievable stuff. Like if you can turn gravity into your own space, and that would be some sick stuff to do. Now, but you have to understand that the Earth is not flat, man. I don't believe that. I just don't. It doesn't make sense. If our world if it works within a season, because you have to think about, I look at life now. And you have to look at life and how the Earth works in rotation. And we have other planets too, but the sun will be our main source of energy, I would say. Because sunlight actually, trees make oxygen, all types of stuff. So if the Earth was flat, you wouldn't have any, I would say mostly airflow, because everything would go in one direction. Yeah. That's another thing too to think about. If the Earth were flat, how can our trees get the support of sunlight if it's coming directly on one thing? And another thing about the sunlight is that you can't keep the sun on one thing all day. That's another thing too, because it started to lose its oxygen, it dries out. So you have to think about why the Earth rotates in a way to simplify the sun, because I have to think the way he made Earth was so sick is that, okay, let's say if you're in a different country, by you being in a different country, the Earth still rotates within that season, but every place is not the same. Now, that's another thing to think about too, when you say the Earth is flat around. Now, you have to think about, the Most High making Earth or the planet. He never made anything the same. We're not even the same as humans and people, and you have to think about that too. So you put that question at the top of your hypothesis. Nothing is the same on Earth. Nothing's the same. So how can you make a theory of the Earth being flat if he made nothing the same? Come on. So you have to really X out the Earth being flat, because it comes back to that question of he never made nothing the same. And that made me theorize okay, cool. The Earth ain't flat. We can just X that out because it's in the damn Bible. He never made nothing the same. Not animals, nothing. Animals, Earth, nothing's the same. The planets are even different. So if you have to break that down, if the Earth is flat, so you're saying every other planet is flat. Goddamn Saturn with the goddamn thing around it is flat. Come on. Nothing is orbited at all. I believe some have to have an access for it to breathe, because you have to have an access. You have to have something branch out, because every country that you go to is not the same weather. It's hot on one side because it's on a part of the sun, because you have to give the direction of where the sun goes, because everybody needs sun for energy within light transfers, all that stuff transfer, It's like I said, when you're tanning, you get darker because you're out in the sun, because it dries you out. That's why they tell you to wear sunscreen. See what I'm saying? Just like the theory of a shadow. How did we create a shadow? Now that's a question I ask. How the hell do we create shadows? I always want to know that. How to create shadows. But anyway, we're going to get into that topic later on. But the earth is flat. No, I don't believe the earth is flat because everything got to have an orbit and every country has different weathers. I think a lot of people do not think of the weather because a lot of people haven't left the country. That's another thing too, that I see a lot of people that does these earth and earth flat videos, earth round, flat, whatever. None of them left the country. So how do you know if the earth is flat or not? Because you've been in one place that shines the sun on you every single day. I lived in California my whole life, but the earth is flat because that's where you've been your whole life. You haven't experienced anything outside the country, just like in South Korea, they have fall, winter, summer, fall. They have them all a year. They have different seasons. You go to Africa, it's just straight sun. You go to California, straight sun. You go to Florida, now switching up weathers a little bit, but you get straight sun. Hawaii the same way, straight sun. Wherever the earth is being shined at the most, it changes within different atmospheres and different states, because by you being in North America, the sun shines on there differently. You got packets of different states, and by it being orbited, it's just rotating around, because the way the earth made by a globe, it comes up in a swirl. I would say every country has a certain part. Every part has a certain country. Some are not shallow, some have more trees, some are more darker within orbit, because when the earth changes and rotate, one side get a little darker and colder, one side get a little lighter because of the sun. It rotates in one direction to the sun because the sun travels with the earth just like the other planets do. So I just don't think the earth is flat. It's so much accountability into what the Most High made. And just like I said with the question of he never made nothing the same, so that comes with the question is, how can he just make one planet flat? He just got to this planet, I'm gonna make this flat, but I'm gonna make all the other ones rotate. So if that's the case, the sun is flat, the space is flat, because nobody reached the end of space. Who knows the end of space? That's a good theory too. Like, who reached the end of space? Think about it. Nobody. Can you survive in space? No. Why is space the darkest thing in the world? You ever thought about that? Space is the darkest place in the world. That's crazy, right? And the coldest place in the world. It's crazy because you don't see any signs of snow. It's when you go up in space, you instantly start losing breath and get colder. It's really scientifically proven that the higher you go up in space, the less air it is. Crazy, right? So as you think of no air being gone, so is that what making the earth rotate? Because it started to make air pockets for it to move? Because the weather is changing, so air needs to release. It needs to combust. So as the air combusts, it moves within that combustion. So I don't know. My theory, I guess. Just saying. I don't know. I took a little bit of science. Just a little bit. But that's my theory about the earth is either flat or round. I hope you take my theory into consideration. Just throwing my opinion out there and see what happens. And if you want a part 2 of this, leave it in the comments below and tell me what you think. But I hope you enjoyed this topic. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you go to my Patreon for more sensitive talks. And thank you for your time.